All right, we are live all over the world. Hitting the old Facebook button.
What's up, Pat?
Doing great, man. It is Marketing Monday, and soon we shall be live everywhere. We're live on YouTube, X, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. I even put on a collared shirt. Can't be letting Zach run away. You know, I got to keep my style up. Zach keeps me on point.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
Lots to cover today. Let's jump right into it. So you were just talking about marketing channels and how important it is, how Morgan & Morgan has all these different domains. Let's dive into this because they must be controlling the SEO with these keywords in their category, right?
Some things come down to SEO and controlling the category, and a lot of things come down to controlling conversion. So when they actually are marketing and advertising, that people choose them and decide to work with them. But we have a number of topics as it's been a heated news cycle over the past week. But there's one topic that stood out greatly. I'll cover the three areas that we're going to go through on this Marketing Monday. So Shopify's major announcement about justifying a position based on if AI cannot do it. Then you also have the continued need to invest in websites. We continue to get asked, what's the impact of AI on SEO and vice versa and on my website? And all I could say is keep a great website going, continue to focus on the things that you were doing on SEO, but to a whole new level. I mean, we haven't missed a beat when it comes down to it, but then also dominating in general the marketplace. And we did an analysis on legal, and in particular, Mr. Morgan with For the People, standing out there with 10 to 11 different URLs and websites. So, case in point, the market leader is really hitting it over the head, knows almost none of his competitors are doing it. So why not just amplify it harder? But we see the use case across numerous consumer-based businesses outside of the legal niche in particular. You see it across a number of verticals and creates effective campaigns go forward. But, essentially to start, Shopify really dominated the headlines. They sent a memo throughout, various managers to say, hey, if you're going to be asking for more headcount, you have to justify and prove that you can't do the work that you're asking to be filled with AI prior to us even considering adding more headcount to the team.
So
this has sent ripples through industry.
Interesting. And what was the response from people? They're mad about it because they want more physical employees? They want more humans?
Well, the sentiment throughout the internet is very interesting, but one of the comments I saw which really stuck out was justifying humanity. So you go from, an aspect of like justifying additional workflow, justifying like additional headcount, now to actually like when you're looking at justifying like the need for a position, it's justifying the humanity that goes into the position. So you're looking a step beyond just, fulfilling specific like tasks because, okay, so you prove that there's a need to fill in more tasks, fill in more workflow. But then the question is, okay, can AI do it? That's the primary question now. A lot of these Silicon Valley tech companies leading the charge.
Well, and with any of us, we do it in our social media company too. We've got to use the updated tools. It's what the customers want too.
Oh, it's allowing for a lot of velocity. It's a very interesting environment that we're going into in 2025. But what we're seeing is, an environment where things are essentially speeding up. Resource implementation, and then the ability to bring information to people and really, cut the edge down. I was, even reading a book where, the author states, I read these books, let me be corrected, I listened to these books, so there's other ways to like even digest books these days, where essentially people, they're now it's from Dan Martell, basically saying like, well, let me be real.
He's awesome.
Read these books. Yeah, I listened to these books. So, there's a lot to be said when you're looking at a major publicly traded company, no scarcity when it comes to dollar resources in a lot of ways, looking at the fact that they're saying, look, if we're going to be filling more roles or positions at our organization, we must first prove that it can't be done by AI. So once again, it goes back to that headline that I read that interpreted it as justifying humanity. And the one that justified humanity was AI. That was actually a headline and a snippet from AI saying like, hey, this is a little bit about, that topic or information, which I find it very, very interesting. But if you're utilizing AI and you know how to utilize AI, it definitely still takes human work. It's not like, one and done. You put something in and then you get
It
the answers that you
totally
want.
takes work. And the prompt
Sure.
systems, you have to work on them. You see a lot of people posting those action figures, right? The little
Hmm.
ChatGPT action figures, and
Yeah.
some look a whole lot better than others. And you can tell by what kind of prompt system they're using. Because, I mean, they all look cool, they're all funny, but some of them are
Well,
extremely detailed.
it's funny that you bring that up because that even like that viral meme slash like call it a viral post, right? I guess we've moved beyond that environment,
Yeah,
but
it's just a
we're looking at
viral
viral
picture
posts.
thing.
So
Everybody's
yeah,
doing it.
so you have this viral picture that started maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that now everybody's utilizing it, posting it on their social media. I haven't done one yet, I'll admit it, but
Well,
no,
maybe
so
we'll
there's a
whip you
lot.
one up this week. Well, I'll talk to the guys this week. We'll
All
whip one
right,
up with
well,
you. You'll have like a
interested to see how
Diamondbacks
you
jersey, like a home and away. You know what I
Marlins
mean?
jersey, Marlins jersey.
Marlins, my bad. I said they
All
have
right,
similar
but
colors.
yeah, but looking at even what we're talking about with like the speed as to which the environment is evolving, right? So you take these posts that somebody does a creative viral meme based on specific prompts to AI, you have it taking over organic feeds, and then I've seen a number
Mm-hmm.
of organizations testing it as an ad.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't even just lived in the confines of, an organic post. It's essentially getting out there across the board.
But how many users has ChatGPT acquired just because everyone wants to make an action figure?
I
Probably a
mean,
lot.
probably a good amount. I'm not, are you 100% GPT that you're
So
goes off of?
the ones that we made are definitely from ChatGPT. And I was shocked when the team sent me the action figure of me that they made, which we can use it on the screen as an example. I laughed because I was like, wow, that's it's actually pretty decent. And you can add accessories and stuff. I'm like, I told you guys to learn AI, and I was actually proud of my team because if they're going to take time to learn something, they might as well have fun doing it. And so, an
Oh,
opportunity to roast the boss with an action figure, I'll pay for that. I'll
yeah. I mean,
happily
look,
pay for
it's
that
it's
training.
it's definitely, stepping things up. And, we've been doing a lot of research even into like demand when it comes to demand gen for like online training and online courses. And AI is definitely one of those things that, workforces are looking to game up, man up, and really utilize it in their workflows because it just brings the ability to process work more efficiently to a whole new level.
Well,
And it's not going to cease and it's not going to slow down.
no
So,
way. And
you got to
even
keep up
you
with it.
sent us some stuff about doing some AI programming on X, Y, and Z, and we were really excited about that because we were like, oh my gosh, we're already working on so many things now that we get the ability to showcase this on someone's organic feed. It's going to give us an opportunity to really develop those skills even further, and it's stuff that we all need. And I
Yeah.
think that the AI custom avatar generators, they look kind of cool, but we aren't able to program anything that looks and talks just like me to the point where you wouldn't be able to tell. But that could be coming soon to where, you could be able to program something that looks and sounds like you. I think it's dangerous because you got to know your stuff. You can't go on stage and expect to have an AI generator talk for you in front of a couple thousand people, but it could be very beneficial for people to use, essentially a faceless face and
I
promote
mean,
their
look,
products.
it's already there in a lot of ways. I
Yeah.
mean, if you read about like the hacks being done with like the meta glasses and people being able to like research information based off of just looking at somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and then trying to like hack the code so they can't do those things. Yeah, it's we're in a new era where you're either embracing AI or you're just going to be falling behind. It's
Totally.
just and the thing is like a lot of people don't necessarily understand I would say the infinite tail of AI. There's a lot of organizations out there like pitching and trying to sell professionals on like what to utilize AI for. The reality is like what they're trying to pitch you to utilize AI for is just what they're trying to position as a product, but
Right.
it's not necessarily like the end all be all of the capabilities of AI. The capabilities of AI are endless. If you look at the top 20 moguls in the world actively working business leaders, the multi-billionaires, the Zuckerbergs, the Musk, the Bill Gates, like the people that are active with their minds and pursuing that next step, next level, they are harnessing AI. They are not avoiding the conversation. They are effectively having the conversation
Mm-hmm.
at an exponential speed, at an exponential level within their organizations. So, if you're kind of like looking at AI and you're just trying to like say, oh, it doesn't work here, it doesn't work there, let's call it the BS. I mean, literally, like look at AI, start messing with it in your daily life, start looking at it like if you don't believe it can, impact your work, see what it could do to impact your personal profile as a whole. And I assure you, you're going to be able to carry it back forward into your work. So,
I love it.
AI is here to stay. And, another thing I'd say about AI, make sure you're asking the right stakeholders if you should be utilizing AI, right? If you're asking somebody that it's going to impact like the amount of like quote unquote busy work they might have, they're surely going to probably say, oh, AI can't do that when they might be using it on the back burner and you just don't even know it. So really make sure like that you're doing like I would say self-reflection with AI and not necessarily like delegating, AI as to like should this be done? I would literally tell you it's like having a car in your driveway and listening to somebody that you should walk somewhere 45 minutes because it's, essentially, I don't want to go there as to like why they should or shouldn't use a car, but the reality is like it's like having a car in your driveway,
And then not
knowing you have
using
go
it to
somewhere in
drive
time.
to get an
You're
hour
not using
away.
it to drive. Yeah, you're just avoiding it. You're just like giving yourself like, oh, the environment, oh, the cost, oh, the
Right.
wear and tear. Like you're giving yourself like all these excuses when the reality is like the I would say it's I
You
would say
can
the
either take all day
trailblazers.
to walk there or you can hop in the car. And I
Yeah,
think that
and you
people who
can,
are running companies need to figure out what things AI can do to just make it faster. Sometimes that's on the operators, whoever the operators are. For me, I'm an owner operator. I got to figure it all out myself. But I come in, I test all these tools, I do this, I do that. And I'm like, all right, well, here is the concrete way that works, make it better. And then the
correct.
team is able to be like, oh my gosh, and they'll message me back and be like, dude, this is fast. And I'm like, all
Yeah,
it does is give you guys more job security anyway. Now you can service the
yeah.
clients better, faster, more efficient. You can respond quicker when files hit. All it's done is increase our efficiency. I think it's made us better. We can
Oh,
locate
for
clips
sure.
faster in podcasts. We can clip them out quicker. We can get them up on people's pages faster. This podcast, we'll have a clip of this up on your page later today. That's how fast it's
I mean,
gotten.
look, it scales your ability to think and process and just be that much more efficient. And if you're not embracing it, who knows what the future looks like for you.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, we're going to get to a stage where we're going to be able to make like multipliers and agents that work on our behalf or can, take over specific tasks.
Yeah, the agent
But
thing is big this year.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's the buzzword. It's it's
It is.
it's what's moving the needle. But you're seeing it replace thousands, if not tens of thousands, of jobs at big tech companies very swiftly and continuing to move the needle. So it's pretty exciting time, and
That's
all I'd
awesome.
say, make sure you're riding the bull and not standing in front of it.
Well, yeah, and I think that for content creators, marketers, people that need their website updated, X, Y, and Z, it's making it infinitely easier. We can take these podcasts, and as we're gonna have a whole site for all of this, where we take the podcast, we turn it into a blog. We've got our chapters, we've got our links to Zach's page, we've got our links to my page. It's all on a blog. You can go watch the replay on the blog. You can subscribe, you can follow, you can join us on Apple, you can join us. We're building
Yeah,
all of that
yeah,
because when you tell me you got to have the blog, you got to have the SEO, just use the podcast, use that as the blog, I listen. So we're putting that all in motion. So there's a central location for all of this because I 100% agree with you. It's like when it comes to the brand, being a social authority or whatever, where's the central hub? And you've really
yeah,
opened my eyes up to that. You got to get people off social media into your system. Social media is
yeah.
great.
And
I love it. But you got to get them on your phone. You got to get them on calls. You got to get them to your website.
you can definitely engage them on social media,
Of
but
course.
definitely, the more funnels you have, it's why large organizations and companies have a lot of locations, just get people in the door.
Like you said about
Um,
Morgan and Morgan too, how many domains they have.
Yeah, we'll jump to that one in a couple minutes here. But in an evolution of websites, people continue to look at their websites and, should I put more resources? Should I put more dollars into them? Or how do I future-proof them for AI? So we've been seeing a huge evolution here. So you need to be constantly evaluating the content that people are engaging with, or even the search engines are engaging with. So you want to look at that content and then enhance that content. And if there's content that's not being visited, potentially reevaluate it and potentially pull it off the site. Looking at design and UX. So you have different generations that are essentially being programmed as to how to look at information and content. When you're looking at your own website, I think a lot of consumers or like buyers of websites tend to look at it on desktop, when the reality is that 70 to 90% of their consumers are looking at it on a mobile device.
Yep.
So, auditing and editing and looking at, it from a mobile perspective, mobile first perspective is definitely key. And then we keep getting asked about AI in the search engines, or just in general, how is that impacting search results? So we have been seeing that there is essentially a divergence here in like actual content that's still driving traffic to websites, and then content that's driving traffic into rich snippets, which is, essentially cheating the website of the traffic itself, but still giving them that brand impression that they are the source of information. So we would continue to recommend that you continue to evaluate the queries that you're coming up for, as well as the actual result and how that result looks, but continue to optimize your website in that search engine environment, continue to enhance the number of references, citations of other content, and evaluate the other content that might be ranking for similar keywords, or essentially how you game the search results that continue to still drive traffic into
They're so
websites.
good at this. And dude, that's so good, because now you're going off somebody's playbook that already worked. And they teach this in social media to like go to an influencer's page, sort the feed based on views. So I can see how many views, likes, comments are on Gary V's videos. And I can go in those top 10 topics. I can kind of break those down, see how it relates to my company, my business, my communication style. And I can kind of deliver something based on what already worked for him, and kind of target that audience, because we know that some of those people are in our avatar and demographic. It's cool, dude. This stuff wasn't possible. You couldn't just evaluate a personality or a public figure, a competitor like this with actual metrics until recently.
Well, now. Yep, for sure.
It's
To
dope.
bring us to our next topic. So dominating essentially legal markets and dominating like search engine results. So we've been working on an internal white paper that we'll be publishing shortly, but essentially looking at a number of different verticals, a number of spaces where there's conglomerates, entities, and organizations that have a number of brands or a number of websites, which brings me back to the legal market. So when you look at the market leader from a nationwide perspective, essentially you look at Morgan & Morgan, the number of websites and properties that they have out there positioning themselves as experts in various positions throughout the legal space. They're up to 11 websites, of which essentially 10 of them have published websites. And I've also seen a number of them actually marketed in the wild. So not only are they building these websites and these entities, they're also putting marketing dollars and resources behind them. And part of this is that, from different studies, as well as, just our own data, we know that consumers are going to convert better on a particular website and property that speaks particular to the niche or particular information that they're looking for. So without further ado, I know you asked me for that list of different domain names and properties that they have out there. So they have forthepeople.com, morganandmorgan.com, businesstrialgroup.com, whistleblowerattorneys.com, classaction.com, abogados.com, morgantruth.com, themorganconnection.com, injured.com, which is a forward essentially in bed with injury.com. So, if you evaluate all these different sites, you could see where they're really putting their dollars and resources and what they continue to build out. Forthepeople.com is essentially their dominant funnel, but abogados.com is definitely out there in the traditional
Say that one
marketplace.
more time. I'm trying to find that one. I'm like, avocados. What is it again?
That's Spanish. I mean, if you spoke Spanish, you would know. But it's abogados.com, abogados.com. So, essentially, it's Spanish for lawyers.
I found it. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
they have
smart.
campaigns. that particularly drive traffic to there, and they're using it in the traditional realm. Of course, I'm down here in the South Florida market.
I'm going to
But
screen
when you're
share
looking,
this so that people can see this. Right here is what it looks like.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even I can pretty much read it, and I can't even speak Spanish. I mean, that's a smart play.
Well, even if you go to like ClassAction.com, similar, like if they were trying to build a big case, you would have that. They just have a lot of websites and entities out there, essentially, taking a playbook from major organizations and corporations that are essential conglomerates with multiple brands out there. I mean, we talked about Unilever in another, pod or another, broadcast, which essentially has Dove soap as a brand, Ben and Jerry's as a brand, and you better believe they're not just trying to sell it under one website. So we've been getting into a lot of conversations where we're talking about particular campaigns where somebody might be injured at a hotel, injured at sea via maritime, injured in, particular workplace, and when you go and you niche down and you start to have communication and messaging that speaks particular to that funnel, if you're really interested in driving that practice area, you'd be surprised at how quickly it can blossom.
Dude, that's fire. I love it. And that's smart to approach the Spanish speaking audience, because I mean, who knows what that number is in the United States of how many Spanish. In fact, let's find out. Watch this. Here we go,
It's
folks.
essentially about
ChatGPT.
Yeah, but
How
it's
many
essentially
Spanish speaking people live in the United States, and what is the number compared to the overall population of the United States? See what it
it's
says.
about 40 to 60%.
All right, let's see if Zach's right.
Almost 10.
ChatGPT, folks. Here we go. Let's see how fast it can give it. As of 2023, approximately 43.4 million people aged 5 or older in the United States speak Spanish at home, accounting for about 13.7% of the U.S. population. The total population was estimated around 340 million in 2024.
Yes, as
When
I said,
considering native speakers, heritage speakers, second language speakers, estimates suggest that up to 58.9 million people in the United States speak Spanish. This makes the United States one of the largest Spanish-speaking countries in the world, ranked 4th globally in terms of Spanish speakers. These guys, they know how to market. They know what they're doing.
well, definitely, and I know my stats, but
You do.
it's definitely a huge audience as well. When you go into specific markets, like you're based in Texas, I'm based in Florida. You go to California, New York, a lot of multilingual markets. It's even a higher percentage or a higher propensity, which are also big markets for Morgan and Morgan and other law firms as well. It caters into their demographics. I'm not necessarily saying everybody has to go get an abogados.com, but they definitely made that as like a long-term investment, and we'll continue to see that prosper. But
That's smart.
like I said, the sheer number of like entities, in particular niche vertical positionings that they have for marketing and positioning is very, very interesting. And there's a lot of benefits from the digital marketing perspective that can be leveraged from there.
Dude, they're awesome. And I think they do a good job with their personal brands too.
Yeah, they definitely do. But in all candidness, there are a lot of other firms that do have more of a serious note. And, typically these instances are very serious. So, as long as you can get around some of that or, understand, the humanity and the balance in the messaging, can be beneficial. But there's definitely, there's got to be, at some point you have to evaluate tone, because I think if your tone is off, you're spending exponentially more to get your message across versus somebody that's having, pretty dialed in serious communication.
I love it, dude. In the zone. What else we got, Zach? Is that it?
Hey man, it was blessed, awesome
The heat.
weekend with the family. Definitely got out there and experienced some cool stuff, and yeah, man, all is great. So
I love it.
how about yourself?
Dude, it was a great weekend. We had some people over hanging out. The weather's getting nicer here in Texas, so the sun is out. I'm sure it'll be 110 degrees before we know it. But dude, winter was so brutal this past year that bring on the heat, dude. I'm good with it. So we're blessed.
Careful what you ask for.
It's been awesome. Rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach Hoffman, Pat Hilton, Marketing Monday. Give us an ad, give us a follow, give us something you want us to cover when it comes to marketing, social media,
Just
websites,
engage
all
with
that.
the posts. When we see people engaging with the posts, we know the message that they want to hear. So,
Yeah.
definitely some of the topics we peeled off today have to do with, people just purely engaging with the messages we're getting out there.
I love it, dude. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, add us. We want to be your friend. We want to help you market, and we want to help you win big in 2025 and beyond. Zach, as always, my friend, have a great Monday. Tear it up.
For sure. Have a great week, Pat. We'll be talking soon.
We'll see you soon, brother.
Yeah.